What's up guys, John Killing here, back with another video. In this video we're going to be talking about sketchbooks and some advice for you to consider when buying one of those for your drawings. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Cheers!
So, sketchbooks. For the past maybe 4 years I've been using on a daily basis sketchbooks for my drawings. I've been using regular size sketchbooks, those you can fit on a bag, and I've been using different brands. So yeah, we have the illo sketchbooks up there, sketchbooks, Neblin sketchbooks, and Moleskin sketchbooks. All of them are pretty similar but have different papers, and yeah, the quality are different too. So let's start by talking about the color of the paper. You can see in the down part you have some white paper. This one is a moleskin. It's pretty yellow. Yeah, for me, I want to draw on a white paper. So that one was a thing to consider when buying one. So here's an Moleskin sketchbook. This one is for watercolor, but I use it for landscape drawing on my travels when we used to travel back then. Yeah, I drew some landscape, and let me check. This is a watercolor paper, so we have kind of a texture that for me, nowadays I really don't like the texture of the watercolor paper. So I try to find and draw on papers that don't have texture at all. So yeah, thing for you to consider. I'm no longer buying that kind of sketchbook. On the other side, we have this Neblin sketchbook on which I drew my Phoebus comic full, beginning to end, drawn on this sketchbook. This paper don't have a texture, but the paper is super thin, and the ink bleed to the other side of the paper. So here is the Hanemule. The Hanemule has a thicker paper, really good paper. The only thing is that it has no texture almost, but the thing is that the paper sucked too much ink. So yeah, I was running out of ink super fast on my pencils. So here's the illo sketchbook. The illo sketchbook for me is my favorite sketchbook because it has a thick paper, good for ink, no texture at all, and it's super like pressed. I don't know how to, super dense the paper, so the ink doesn't bleed. So let's keep talking about the sketchbook, and now I will show you what I mean about the sketchbook that bleeds. This one is a Moleskin sketchbook. It's really popular, are kind of expensive. The paper is a little bit yellow, and I've used this sketchbook for many years, and you can notice sometimes when you use a decent amount of ink, the paper bleed. Considering I'm drawing in both faces, so in both pages, yeah, it works really fine. I really didn't keep drawing on that sketchbooks because the paper size was small. Here's another example. Here's my Neblin sketchbook, and the paper is not dense, so the inks bleed really easy on that paper. So what I recommend you to use when the paper sucks too much ink and bleeds is using a ball pen. So yeah, I've been using ball pens in my architectural sketchbooks. You can check it out here. So I can use almost any sketchbook for that purpose. You can see that the markers bleed to the other side really easy, but I can take notes, do quick sketch about my architectural designs and ideas. And yeah, it's a cheaper paper, so a cheaper sketchbook. Though they look good on leather. Neblin Sketchbooks, awesome. It's a local brand here from Chile. And then I'm jumping to the Untitled Sketchbook. I bought this one because I like the format. Yeah, the paper is really good. It handles ink and markers. Though marker, you can see here, the ink kind of like spread a little bit. That was the little thing that I didn't like, and bleeds, just the markers bleed to the other side of the page. So yeah, downside of that, but you can see here in the ink, doesn't bleed to the other part of the page, so check, really cool. But the thing is that when you are using a lot of ink, the ink tends to spread around the page a little bit, some millimeters, but for me it was like, I like to draw details, and this Hanemule, good paper, but I'm a little picky on that stuff. And finally, here is the illo sketchbook. This video is not sponsored by any of the brands I'm talking here. These are just honest opinion about, yeah, what I've been using these past 4 years. And the paper is smooth, is super dense, is compressed, is handles ink, brush pen, a little bit of watercolor, and yeah, it works really great. On this sketchbook I decided to draw on just one side of the page because from time to time I sell some of these drawings. So yeah, let me do a little comparison about the size and the paper color. Trust me, on the video they look almost the same, but in real life the illo sketchbook is super white and the Moleskin Sketchbook is much yellower. So yeah, these are all my sketchbooks, the brands I've been using. They are all really great, but make sure you pick the right one for your drawings and the paper that is good for you. And if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thanks for the support and good vibes. And here's a little bit of a drawing I've been working on my sketchbook. As you know, I use brush pen, ink, watercolors from time to time, but most of the time I'm using liners and some water-based ink, mix it with water to get some gray tones, you will see in a moment, and some brush pens. And so most of the time I'm just using ink. So that's what I look when I'm looking for a sketchbook, is that works good with ink and a lot of ink, so it will also work good with a little bit of watercolors and a little bit of markers. And here are all my sketchbooks, the brands I've been using, and I hope you like the video. Remember to do all that YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!